I'm Nina van Tilburg for Biznews. 2023 was the year that the South African Treasury reacted to the flood of private capital legally leaving the country with what some commentators described as a sneaky regulation change just before the May long weekend. So what does this mean for South Africans who want to internationalize their assets in 2024? We have Barratt from Sable International in the studio to help us make sense of it. So was that a sneaky change in the regulations, Graham?
Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think that obviously there's a lot of reaction to it and guys trying to make sense of it all. But essentially, the change was not very meaningful. There's a name change. So the previously known as a tax clearance certificate is now your approved international transfer. It's the same kind of process. You apply to SARS, you get a PIN, you get the clearance to be able to send your funds out. But no, I don't think it's sneaky. I think they're just trying to sort of get their ducks in a row. Essentially what SARS are trying to do is they're trying to make sure that they've accounted for all the guys that have externalized wealth over the generations prior to now, really. So it's a little bit more due diligence that we just need to get. But getting the clearances and that sort of thing is still a simple process, doing it through e-filing. When I say simple, it's simple for companies like ourselves who do it regularly, right? For your everyday investor looking to externalize some funds, it can be quite a challenging process.
So can you say they've brought back exchange controls, or is it they've never let go of exchange controls?
It's never left. Exchange control is here, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. Obviously, the regulations or the controls essentially have been relaxed somewhat. Years ago, we were able to only send your sort of million out, and then it was 2 million over a lifetime, and then 4 million, and then we got given the SDA, your single discretionary allowance, which is that 1 million that you can send out as a gift, loan, or travel allowance, and then it got extended to a further 10 million as part of that previously known as the tax clearance certificate, and now your approved international transfer. So as a South African resident over the age of 18 with a tax number in good standing, you can send up to 11 million rand abroad for investment purposes. So is exchange control gone? No. Is it going anywhere? I don't think so. Have they relaxed a little bit? Yes, they have. Did they, make it a name change? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No, not at all. Guys are still sending funds abroad, legitimate funds, obviously. I mean, this is the process to make sure that SARS has had their slice of the pie, right? They want to make sure that the funds have been earned legitimately, that you've reported them, and that you've paid tax on them. Once you've done that, you can externalize the funds, no problem.
So what did you find from your clients? Are they confused?
There was huge confusion. Obviously, there's a bit of a buzz, and with any change, people are reluctant to change and they're a little bit nervous. They're like, oh, what's this now? No one really wants SARS to be poking around in their affairs. But at the same time, if you're dotted the I's and crossed the T's and you've done your stuff the way it should have been done, then you shouldn't really have any issue. One of the regulations or the due diligence sort of enhancements was actually SARS are looking to understand your worldwide assets now, and they also want to, instead of having sort of 3 years assets liabilities, they look for 5 years. So essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to catch those guys. When I say catch them, they're trying to understand the investors that have previously sent funds abroad. So when you're disclosing your worldwide assets, then obviously you are, that could be taxable income depending on where your funds are, how much you've sent and so on. So that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to see if they're getting their slice of the pie.
Well, it seems this resident, non-resident status is also quite confusing.
Very. Yeah, it's super confusing. I mean, and also formally to that financial immigration, formal financial immigration, and then sort of cease to become tax resident. Those changes absolutely are confusing. Some guys are unsure. We chat to some of our clients and they'll say, oh, we're receiving an inheritance, and we say, okay, where are you from? And they'll say, oh, I'm from England. I've been living in England my whole life. It's fantastic. And then all of a sudden you get a copy of their passport and it says born in Cape Town or born in Johannesburg. So in actual fact, they're probably a South African resident temporary abroad in the eyes of the SARB or SARS. So, have they financially immigrated? Did they fill in their MP336B and, have it put with the SARB? Well, maybe not. They actually just got on a plane and left when they were a child or whatever it is. So those are the kind of questions that we ask our clients. And we've got a whole sort of decision tree or question answer model that we'll go through. And that'll tell us, it will give us a huge indication as to what the best process is for the clients. It's case by case. It's not easily defined. I can't say you must or you mustn't. We have to have a discussion about it.
Well, what about people who left a long time ago in the year Futsak and they sold assets? Is that what SARS is trying to do, to tax that capital gains?
No, I think they just want to understand where everybody sits. So if you've got a green barcoded ID and you were born in South Africa, but you're living somewhere else, where are you domiciled? Where are you tax resident? They just want to understand everything. So I don't think it's terrible. They're just actually coming to the party now. They're starting to understand, the South Africans and where they are, what they're doing, and what they've done with their funds previously.
So one thing I've heard is that some people encourage their kids to leave before 18 so that this does not happen, that they do not have the problem of exchange controls once they start accumulating assets.
Well, yeah, so it depends. I mean, there again, that's going to be a different scenario based on whether they've worked abroad. Because obviously even if you leave as a child, you're still deemed as a South African resident. You've got a green barcoded ID or one of the new ID cards and so on. Even if you didn't have an active tax number, you may need to register and then deregister. So again, it's difficult. I wouldn't say that's the best advice. We don't give advice. What we try and do is we try and understand where the clients are sitting, what their scenario is, and what's the best way for them to receive funds or have their tax affairs in an order.
So we're at the end of 2023, 2024 coming. What are the options if a client comes to you and says, I want to internationalize my assets?
Sure. There's so many options. I mean, within the Sable International group, we offer investment through migration. We offer, real estate options. We've got investment portfolios. Essentially, we need to understand the client's risk profile. We need to understand their time horizon. What are they looking to do? A lot of the clients that come to us, they actually come to us. A visa business is a big part of our business. I represent the Forex business. So we actually just move the money from one account to the next. And we help them get a better rate and give them that kind of private banking approach or service levels. But in terms of guys looking to internationalize themselves, essentially what people, and it's been a buzzword for forever, right? I mean, Jan Smuts was quoted in saying, South Africa is one of those funny places that's never as bad as it could be, but it's never as good as it should be. And that still rings true. So in that conversation or along that sort of line, guys are thinking, well, what do I need to do? What's a plan B? I mean, the lifestyle in South Africa is unparalleled, right? It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'm in Cape Town. It's summer. We've had semigration from the north coming down into the Western Cape. Guys have seen that, the beach living and golf courses and that sort of thing's a way to go. But also, it's good to diversify, have funds invested abroad. If you are eligible to get a visa or a passport for another country, for a European Union nation or the UK or Australia, whatever. Sometimes guys just like to have that sort of in their back pocket,
So we've got an election coming up, which always brings uncertainty to all countries and maybe even more in South Africa. So, if you look at Forex, what's that going to do to the rand?
Well, it's already happened. I mean, it gets priced in already. I think we started this year, we were at 1667. There's a lot of things. Listen, the local factors obviously play a role, but essentially the rand is a minor currency. And we, if when the US sneezes, we catch a cold like the rest of the world, the emerging market currency. So we are sort of, we left to sort of mop up what happens along the rest of the world, and we feel the brunt of it. So is South Africa, is the rand devalued? I mean, we've lost it. We sort of, when I say lost, we've lost value, you haven't lost it. We've lost quite a considerable amount, from 1667, we went up to 1990 even, at the high sort of in June, and now coming into December, which typically over the years we see the rand strengthen going into December, January, but still we're hovering around that sort of 18, 19, 19 level to the US dollar. So yeah, it's a topsy-turvy world, especially the rand. I mean, if anyone, I used to trade currency many moons ago, and when I was being trained or, going to a couple of classes, the instructor was never trade the rand. It's the most volatile currency out there. So are we undervalued? Sure. I think, with the elections coming along, effectively South Africa's for sale. So we're hugely undervalued. Probably like a fair market value would be sort of maybe around sort of 15, 16, but it takes a hell of a long time for it to strengthen. It can weaken a lot faster than it can strengthen, but there's definitely room for it to pull back and strengthen. Yeah.
So if a client asks you, okay, I want to move money overseas, is this a good time? What would you say?
I'd ask them, I say, okay, cool. What's your time horizon? Obviously we've got that calendar year story now with our exchange control. So there's a lot of guys moving money now in the next sort of week or two because their allowance for the calendar year is running out. But again, that calendar year, that allowance opens up next year. So it depends how much they want to send and what their time horizon is. What is their need? Are they looking to get out now? If they're looking to go now because they need the money in the UK or wherever they're going, in Canada or US, then, perhaps today's a good day. But yeah, I would say, listen, you wait for the ebbs and flows. If you've got the time, you pick a sort of a range or a number where you feel that you've got fair market value for it, and then you go and you externalise at that time.
So people aren't saying that, coming to you and say, I want to move money, I'm not pressed for anything. I'm just looking at the political landscape and I want to pick the right time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they're looking at diversifying their portfolio. So they're also looking at externalizing funds and having it, set in another currency. There's also, it depends, if guys are trading in shares and they've got an offshore share that looks good to them, they want to get invested. So it also comes on the back of what their advisors are advising them in terms of where to, what shares to invest in, or maybe they're looking to purchase a property, a second home somewhere else, and in the UK or, I reference the UK quite a lot because obviously we have good ties with them, and Europe, as a holiday, and that's a way to externalize funds. And some people see property as a good, safe investment, and it's in another currency. So they're then safeguarding against the depreciation of the rand.
What if there's somebody, you mentioned that case of somebody who's left a long time ago and now suddenly, SARS wants to know where everybody is in the world, and what should their first step be?
Linda, I think that's a very, very good question, because guys are unsure. They don't know where to go, who to talk to, and what to do, essentially. I think they need to contact a professional. They need to come to, in terms of externalizing funds, they need to chat to a treasury outsourcing company, much like Sable International, and we can give you options. We can help understand their needs, and first of all, this is what we do, right? It's our focus, it's our core business, and sometimes, unfortunately, when clients go directly to the bank or try and do it on their own, they run into a couple of hurdles. They chat to call centers, or they're chatting to guys that are some are in the know, but then, they're not chatting to the professionals that know exactly what they need to do. And they get pointed in the wrong direction. It's kind of like that, Where's Douglas Green advert. I don't know if you remember that. It's like, where's Douglas Green? It's kind of one of those things. So chat to a professional. We'll sit down, we'll understand your needs, and we'll give you guidance. Whether you use it or not, that's obviously your prerogative. But it's absolutely the best idea is to go to your financial advisor or chat to a treasury outsourcing company like us.
So you sort of shouldn't go straight to SARS and say, listen, I'm a non-resident. I'm not a resident.
Oh, it's so difficult. You're not going to get to chat to anyone anyway. It's moving online, and you're going to wait in queues for days to get into those things. And listen, that's the reason why we have a job. That's the reason why I have a job, actually, is why we're in business. The service that we're offering is not something that, the high street banks or tax practitioners or what have you can offer. The fact is they've got thousands and thousands of clients, and they just don't have the time to sit down and understand it. This is our business. It's the only thing we do, and our clients are, they're the most important people in our lives. Without them, we don't have a job. So we almost thank that the institutions and the banks keep sort of making hiccups or give us reason to have a job out there and roll out the red carpet for our clients.
Barratt from Sable International, thanks for talking to us.